I pulled up, slow wheels crunching over gravel the way they used to when Nana waved from the porch. Back then, she always waited with a hand towel slung over one shoulder and a cup of tea in the other. Not because I was anyone important, just because I was hers. But this time, there was no towel, no tea, just a crooked plastic sign stabbed into the grass. For sale. Orange and bold with an arrow pointing to the window she once taped birdseed recipes to. It stood right in the middle of the rose patch Nana had spent 40 years pruning. She used to say, "These girls don't bloom for show, they bloom for staying." And now there was a sign telling them to leave. I sat there a while, engine off. The wind moved through the trees like breath remembering how to sound. Jason came out first. My brother. Shirt tucked, phone in hand, like a man preparing for handshakes he never earned. He saw me and smiled like we were old neighbors, not blood. "You made it," he said. "Didn't expect traffic to let you through so fast." I didn't answer. Just stepped out, walked past him, past the porch railings, still etched with the grooves of Nana's rocking chair, past the spot where her wind chimes used to hang before someone took them down. Inside, the air smelled wrong. Too lemony, like someone had tried to erase decades with cleaning spray. The curtains were new gray industrial, and the lace ones Nana hemmed by hand were gone. "We're just getting things in order," Jason said behind me, already typing again. "You know how these things move fast once probate clears." I looked at the floor where her slippers used to sit side by side like a memory no one dared disturb. Was there a will, I asked? Jason paused. "It got messy." He said it like someone talking about rain delays. "Mom found some old draft but nothing signed, and without that, well, the deeds and joint names. You know how she was never liked formalities." But that wasn't true. Nana kept every receipt in labeled folders. She wrote cards for birthdays no one else remembered. She kept her Bible wrapped in linen and her list of emergency contacts in 3 copies, one in the drawer, one in the freezer, and one in her coat pocket. She liked order, and she told me 2 years ago, "Elin, if anything happens, the room in back is yours. Not for money, for memory. That room. The one with the skein baskets and the window facing the west light." I walked toward it, heart thick. But the door was open now, the shelves bare. The yarn was gone. In its place stood a rolled yoga mat and a stack of fitness magazines. Jason's wife appeared in the hallway, sipping a green drink. "Oh, you're here," she said cheerfully. "This room gets such great morning light, I just love it." And I realized right there the house wasn't just being sold, it was already being forgotten. We had dinner that night at the round oak table Nana never let anyone put hot dishes on without a trivet. There were no trivets now, just silicone mats and store-bought pie in a glass dish too clean to belong in this kitchen. Mom sat where Nana used to like the throne had passed without question. Her blouse was starched, her lipstick too red. Jason talked about roof estimates and staging photos. His wife, Mandy, nodded along and offered to make the place more neutral. No one asked what I thought. I waited until the clatter of forks slowed. Then I said it plain and quiet. Nana told me the room in back was mine. The air paused for just a second. Then Mom reached for her water glass. "She said a lot of things near the end," she replied. "You know how confused she got." I looked at her. Nana was sharp until the last week. Even then, she knew the full name of my 3rd-grade teacher and which drawer she kept the strawberry jam in the old kind with seeds. Confused wasn't the word. "She was clear with me," I said. "She said she'd written it down." Jason sighed, pushed his plate away like my words had spoiled the taste. "We looked," he said. "All we found was an old notebook with half a grocery list. No signatures. Nothing legal." Mom added, "And even if she meant to, she never finalized it. The house passed to me automatically joint tenancy. There's really no need to dig through memories just to fight over real estate. I wasn't fighting. I wasn't even raising my voice. But the room acted like I had flipped the table." Mandy folded her napkin carefully. "I get it," she said gently. "You're attached. But maybe try not to take it all so personally. Personally." They were painting over the walls where Nana wrote our heights in pencil. They boxed up her thread collection like it was clutter. They were erasing her and asking me to be polite about it. "It's not about the house," I said finally. "It's about what she trusted me with." Mom's mouth tightened. She looked down at her plate and said without looking up, "Sometimes people say things to comfort themselves. That doesn't mean we have to rearrange the law for it." Jason stood up. "This is getting emotional. We've got real logistics to handle. Closing paperwork buyers coming Monday." I sat still. My palms rested flat on my lap. Mandy smiled again, softer this time. "I know it's hard, Elin, but maybe try to think of it as making space. Letting go of the past. That's what healing looks like." But I wasn't the one bulldozing rooms. I spent the night in the guest room, if you could call it that. The twin bed creaked and the lamp still had a Christmas bulb in it. At some point, I got up and walked barefoot down the hall. I stopped at the door to the yarn room. Not my room. Not anymore. The moonlight caught something on the shelf, a forgotten coaster embroidered with the letter E. My name. My stitch. She made it when I was 12 after I won a spelling bee and cried because no one came. I held the coaster like it was a relic. And then I sat down on the floor right there in that gutted room and cried the kind of tears that come not from loss, but from being told again and again that nothing you remember matters. The next morning I woke early, not from rest, but from the kind of sleep that hovers. The kind where your body's still but your mind is pacing the hallway just outside your ribs. The house was quiet, too quiet, not the kind of silence that holds comfort. The kind that feels like someone packed all the breath out of it. I slipped out while the others were still asleep. Mandy's neon yoga mat was curled beside the couch like it belonged there. Jason's laptop hummed in the corner, left open to a spreadsheet of market comparables. But I didn't care about square footage. I walked to the back of the house, not to the room that used to be mine, but beyond it. Past the kitchen where Nana used to hum along to Patsy Cline. Out the old screen door that creaked like it still remembered how to complain. The shed stood at the far edge of the yard, near the back fence line. A squat, lopsided structure with peeling blue paint and one shutter missing. Most folks thought she used it for old rakes and paint cans, but I knew better. That's where she kept her quiet and her real things. The lock was rusted, but the trick was to lift it up, not twist. She taught me that. Inside, it smelled like cedar and mothballs. Dust floated in a beam of light cutting through the cracked slats. Everything was as I remembered, only smaller somehow. Or maybe I was bigger now. I moved to the back corner where the old sewing cabinet sat under a moth-eaten quilt. The cabinet had a false drawer. We found it once when I was 14. She told me, "Some things don't belong in filing cabinets. They belong in stories." I slid my fingers along the bottom edge, and there it was, the latch. The drawer popped open with a soft groan, like it hadn't been called upon in years. Inside was a small wooden box, smooth, hand-carved, with a single 5-petal flower etched on top. A dogwood bloom. She used to say dogwoods were for remembering. No key. Just a leather strap holding it closed. I sat on the edge of the cabinet and opened it slowly. Inside, a folded letter tied in twine. A USB drive tucked inside a button tin, and a small hand-drawn map on the back of a knitting pattern. The letter was addressed in her handwriting to Elin. "If they tell you there's nothing left, start here." I held it to my chest for a minute, unsure whether I was about to cry or pray. The only thing I knew for sure was this. Nana didn't trust the house to hold me, so she hid the truth in the only place no one else would look, where love had always been quiet, tucked away, and waiting. The map was simple, just a rough sketch drawn in blue pen on the back of a 1990s knitting guide. It showed the house, the garden beds, the edge of the lot, and beyond that, something labeled only as West Parcels Surveyed 16. I stared at it, tracing my finger along the faint ink lines like I was reading Braille from memory. The back fence. I hadn't thought about it in years. Nana always kept that gate locked, said the slope beyond was too steep, too wild. But now I wondered if she meant too sacred. I followed the map. The grass along the side yard was overgrown. My jeans caught on a dry thistle, the kind she used to pluck before I even noticed. Past the compost bin and the bent rain barrel, I found it the narrow gate half buried in vines, its latch tied shut with a shoelace. I hesitated, then pulled. It opened with a wheeze that felt like a held breath finally released. Beyond the gate, the yard didn't feel like yard anymore. The grass was higher, the soil more stubborn, and yet somehow it felt more like her than any other part of the house. There was a stone bench near the tree line, still there, still steady, still stained with the faint outline of her teacup. I sat, took the letter from the box and unfolded it with careful fingers. Elin, if you're reading this, then the front part of the house is no longer ours. They'll say I never signed. They'll say it passed by default. But this... She must have pressed her pen hard because the ink had bled through the page. This land does not belong to them. I filed the parcel transfer in 2016. Ramesh helped me. It's in your name. It's yours. Not to fight over. To protect. I read it again and again. Then I looked out across the land. It wasn't much, maybe a third of an acre, but it held more than the rest of the property combined. The tree she planted when I was born stood near the slope, still leaning, still growing. She always said it never bent the same after the storm in '99. Neither did I. That night, I drove into town. The law office was on Main, tucked between the diner and the used bookshop. The sign on the door still read, Ramesh Patel Esq. I didn't have an appointment. But when he saw the envelope in my hand, his face softened. Rosie's granddaughter, he said quietly. Come in. We sat in his office surrounded by dusty files and framed diplomas. I showed him the letter, the map, the parcel number. He pulled a thin manila folder from his cabinet, flipped it open, and turned it toward me. My name, filed, notarized, and dated 7 years ago. He looked at me and said like it was fact, that piece of land isn't part of the joint estate. It's yours. Legally. Without question. And for the first time since I came home, I exhaled without apology. The house looked different when I returned. Maybe it was the late afternoon light slanting across the porch. Or maybe it was just me seeing it not as a home anymore, but as a stage someone else was rehearsing on. Jason's truck was in the driveway, the back loaded with paint cans, a ladder, and 2 folding chairs. Staging furniture, probably. They were getting ready. For showings. For offers. For finality. I walked inside. Mandy was lighting a candle, lavender vanilla sharp and synthetic. She jumped a little when she saw me. Oh, Elin, I didn't hear you come in. I didn't reply. Just looked past her to the back hallway. The one that led to the yarn room. My room. The door was open. The walls had been painted a pale beige oatmeal maybe, or some other word meant to sound clean. The shelving was gone. The window now held sheer gray curtains, and a small potted succulent sat on the sill where the tin of buttons used to be. Mandy followed my gaze. It just felt better to simplify, she said. Less clutter. You know, I stepped into the room. It smelled like a hotel lobby. I stood in the center and turned once slowly. Then I walked out. Jason was on the phone in the dining room but hung up when I entered. What's going on? He asked. I need to talk to Mom, I said. She's not home, he said, frowning. What is this about? I opened my bag, pulled out the letter, the parcel file, the map. This, I said. The backlot. It was Nana's, and it's mine now. Jason flipped through the papers, eyebrows knitting. Where did you get these? From her, I said simply. She filed the transfer in 2016, with Ramesh. It's legal. Final. This portion of the property is not part of the joint estate. He scoffed, but I saw the shift in his posture, the tightening around the jaw. You're digging through boxes and dragging up things she never told the rest of us, he said. She did tell me, I replied. You just weren't listening. He pushed the file back toward me. Look, Elin, this isn't helpful. We're trying to make this process clean. You showing up with old letters and half-drawn maps doesn't change how probate works. I took a breath. Slow, even. Actually, it does, I said. I met with Ramesh. He confirmed it. This land is mine. The shed, the bench, the slope. You don't get to list it or paint it or bulldoze it for parking. Jason laughed too sharp to be natural. You think this little patch of dirt matters? You're going to split the property over a garden bench? It's not just dirt, I said. It's the part she didn't trust you with. The silence that followed was long enough for me to hear the refrigerator hum. Then Mandy stepped in holding her phone. Did you post something? She asked Jason. Because your realtor just called and said the listing might be flagged. Jason shot me a glare. What did you do? I told the truth, I said. That's all. An hour later, Mom came home. She walked in carrying grocery bags and saw the papers on the table. She didn't ask. She just set the bags down and said I told her not to complicate things. I looked up. Did you know I asked? About the back parcel. She didn't flinch. She mentioned it, once. But I didn't think she'd follow through. She did. She always was sentimental, Mom said flatly. Too soft. Too trusting. She trusted me, I said. Mom sat down, rubbed her temples. You always took things too personally, Elin. No, I said. You just never believed anything was personal unless it happened to you. Neither of us spoke after that. I gathered my papers, slipped them back into the envelope, and left the room. But this time, I didn't walk quietly. I let the floorboards creak. The next morning, I dressed quietly. The sky was gray, the kind of overcast that makes every sound feel louder than it should. I slipped the flash drive from the tin where Nana had hidden it, a button tin with a faded red cardinal on the lid. Funny how she always hid what mattered inside things no one else would value. By 9:00, I was back in the house. Jason and Mom were already in the dining room. The realtor was scheduled to arrive at 10. Papers were laid out. Coffee brewed. Mandy sat with a legal pad in her lap, pretending to be helpful. I took the old laptop from the shelf in the den, the one Nana never let anyone throw out even when the keys started sticking. I plugged in the drive. Do you have a moment? I asked. Calm, even. Jason looked up wary. I want to show you something, I said. They didn't say no. The screen lit up, and then there she was. Nana, sitting in the yarn room, light slanting behind her through the west window. She wore her blue cardigan, the one with the wooden buttons shaped like leaves. She looked tired, but clear. Her voice, when it came, filled the room more than any of ours ever had. If you're watching this, she said, then I've probably gone and there's some sort of mess about the house. Jason shifted in his seat. Mom folded her arms. I didn't want to make things difficult, Nana continued. But I knew deep down that the main house would be fought over. So I made a decision. The back lot, the slope and shed, those are Elin's. I signed the paperwork. I filed it. Because she's the only one who understood what that space meant. She looked straight at the camera. Jason, you always wanted numbers, square footage, appraisals. But this isn't that. This is where I kept my quiet. My old bones. My love. Her eyes softened. And Elin, don't let them tell you this isn't real. Just because something isn't loud doesn't mean it's not true. The video ended. Silence followed. Not a tense silence, a still one. Jason rubbed the bridge of his nose like he had a headache that had just turned personal. She recorded that when he asked. Does it matter? I replied. Mom didn't speak. Her hands clenched in her lap. Not from shock, but from something more bitter. Like she'd lost a game she didn't know someone else was playing. I took a breath. There's more, I said. I've already submitted the parcel paperwork to a title attorney. The back lot is being flagged separately. You can't list it, you can't touch it, you can't sell it. Jason pushed back from the table hard enough for the chair to scrape. This is ridiculous, he muttered. Over a shed and a dirt patch. I didn't reply. Because I wasn't arguing. I wasn't negotiating. I was keeping a promise. The realtor showed up 5 minutes later. Jason met him at the door. I stayed in the back hallway watching from a distance. I heard Jason say, There's been a change. We'll need to adjust the listing. His voice was flat. Not angry, just resigned. Like someone finally realizing the numbers don't add up when you forget to carry the human cost. Mom never came back to the dining room. Mandy asked me later. Why fight this hard for something so small? I looked at her, not cruel, not smug. Just honest, because it's the only piece they didn't lie about. And that night, I walked out to the slope, sat on the stone bench, and let the silence settle around me, like a shawl woven by hands I still remembered. It took a few weeks for everything to settle, or at least quiet down. Jason moved forward with the sale of the main house. I didn't stop him. I didn't need to. The parcel Nana left me the back slope. The bench, the shed was never part of what they cared about. It held no market value, no flipped square footage, no commissions to chase, but it held her. I filed for a small repair grant from the historical district. I repainted the shutters on the shed, restored the quilting hooks to the walls, oiled the hinges on the old cabinet. I brought in a small space heater and a shelf of paperbacks, the kind Nana used to keep in her bedroom, spines cracked and loved. I didn't move in. I didn't need to, but I came back. Some Saturdays I'd sit on the bench with tea in a cracked mug and let the light shift across the grass just like it used to on Nana's hands while she worked. The yarn room was gone, the house repainted, the pencil marks on the kitchen door erased, but here, in the smallest part, they overlooked something still held. And every time the wind moved through the trees, I heard her again, not in words, but in stillness. What they sold was square footage. What she gave me was a place to stay whole.
Hey everyone, I'm Astrid, a single mom to the most amazing 10-year-old Tommy. He's autistic, and every day with him is an adventure. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but it's not easy, especially after a messy divorce. Right now, I'm packing for the annual family reunion, and Tommy is bouncing off the walls. Mom, do we have to go? Aunt Karen always pinches my cheeks too hard. I sigh, zipping up his suitcase. I know, buddy, but family is important, even when they're a pain in the neck. The truth is, I'm dreading this reunion as much as Tommy. My family isn't exactly known for their understanding, especially Aunt Karen and her son Derek. Last year, Karen had the nerve to say, maybe if you disciplined him more, he wouldn't be so, you know. Yeah, I know, Karen. But as a special education teacher, I've dedicated my life to advocating for kids like Tommy. So when my own family acts like this, it stings even more. As we pull up to the reunion, I give Tommy a pep talk. Remember your coping strategies, okay? If it gets too loud or overwhelming, just give me the signal, and we'll take a break. He nods, clutching his favorite fidget toy. Can I bring my own snacks? What if they don't have anything I can eat? Already packed, kiddo. I've got your back. We step out of the car, and the fake smiles begin. Aunt Karen is the first to greet us, her voice dripping with that insincere sweetness. Oh, Astrid, and little Tommy, hadn't you grown? She reaches for Tommy's cheeks, and he flinches. I step between them, forcing a smile. Hey, Aunt Karen, remember, Tommy's not big on physical contact. She huffs. Well, I never. In my day, children respected their elders. I bite my tongue. It's not worth the fight. Then I spot Derek lounging by the grill, his phone in hand, mischief in his eyes. Hey, cuz, brought the, he says, using a slur that makes my blood boil. I take a deep breath. Derek, that word is not okay. Tommy is autistic, and he's brilliant. Derek rolls his eyes. Whatever, same thing, right? I'm about to give him a piece of my mind when Tommy tugs on my sleeve. Mom, can we go inside? It's too loud out here. I nod, shooting one last glare at Derek as we head in. As we walk inside, I overhear the whispers. Poor Astrid, stuck with that burden. I heard autism is caused by bad parenting. Why'd she even bring him? He'll ruin the reunion for everyone. My heart cracks, but I stand tall. We faced worse. Tommy and I can handle one weekend with these people. Little did I know, this reunion was about to test us in ways I never imagined. The reunion was in full swing, and I was doing my best to keep Tommy comfortable. We found a quiet corner where he could play with his toys while I chatted with the few relatives who weren't as judgmental. But of course, Aunt Karen couldn't leave us alone. She cornered me by the punch bowl, her voice full of fake concern. Astrid dear, don't you think Tommy should be mingling more? It's not healthy for him to be so isolated. I took a deep breath. Tommy's doing great, Aunt Karen. He's engaging in his own way. She tutted. If you just be firmer with him. I'm plenty firm, and I'm also understanding of his needs. Before she could argue further, Derek sauntered over. Hey, Aunt Astrid, want me to show Tommy around? Maybe introduce him to some of the younger kids. I hesitated. Derek had never shown interest in Tommy before, but maybe this was a chance for things to improve. That's actually really nice of you, Derek. Tommy, buddy, want to go with your cousin for a bit? Tommy looked uncertain but nodded. As they walked away, I felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe this reunion wouldn't be so bad after all. I couldn't have been more wrong. I was catching up with my cousin Sarah when I realized it had been a while since I'd seen Tommy. A knot formed in my stomach. Have you seen Tommy and Derek? Sarah frowned. I think I saw them heading out back earlier. I rushed outside, the knot tightening with every step. That's when I heard the laughter. Following the sound, I rounded the corner of the house and froze. There was Tommy, sitting on the ground with a can in his hands. Derek and his friends were doubled over, laughing, phones out and recording. As I got closer, I realized with horror what Tommy was holding, a can of dog food. Tommy, no, I shouted, rushing over. Spit that out, honey. Tommy looked confused and upset. But Derek said it was a special snack. I turned on Derek, fury boiling over. What the hell is wrong with you? Derek was still laughing. Chill, Aunt Astrid. It was just a joke. Look how many views it's already getting. I grabbed his phone, my vision going red. The video was already uploaded and comments were flooding in. Lol, what a freak. Is he really eating dog food? Take it down. Now. No way. This is cold. By now, a crowd had gathered. Aunt Karen pushed through. What's all this fuss about? Derek grinned. Just having some fun with Tommy, right, little dude? Tommy was rocking back and forth, clearly distressed. I put my arm around him. Your son tricked Tommy into eating dog food and filmed it. Take the video down, or I swear to God. Karen scoffed. Oh, don't be so dramatic. Boys will be boys. Tommy's fine, aren't you, dear? Tommy didn't respond, too overwhelmed. I looked around, hoping someone would back me up, but all I saw were awkward glances and poorly hidden smirks. That's when I knew we had to leave. We're done here, I announced, helping Tommy to his feet. And if that video isn't down by the time we get home, I'll be contacting a lawyer. Derek rolled his eyes. Whatever. Can't take a joke. As we walked to the car, I heard the whisper start again as I buckled Tommy into his seat, my hands trembling with anger and hurt. She's overreacting, someone muttered. Tommy didn't even seem to mind. This is why you shouldn't bring special needs kids to family events. In the rearview mirror, I saw Aunt Karen and Derek laughing together as we pulled away. The tears started to fall as soon as we hit the main road. Tommy reached out and gently patted my arm. Don't cry, Mom. The snack tasted bad, but I'm okay. His innocence, his kindness, even after what they'd done to him, broke my heart all over again. I swallowed hard, wiping at my face. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. As we drove home in silence, I made a promise to myself and to Tommy, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Derek and Aunt Karen might think they'd had their fun, but they had no idea what was coming. Nobody messes with my kid and gets away with it. Nobody. The days following the reunion were a nightmare. Tommy's meltdowns became more frequent, the confusion and hurt from what had happened eating away at him. One night, as I tucked him into bed, he asked a question that broke me. Mom, why did Derek trick me? Aren't families supposed to be nice? I sighed, stroking his hair. Sometimes, honey, even family can be cruel. But that's on them, not you. You did nothing wrong. Once he was asleep, I checked my phone. The video had gone viral. Comments flooded in, most of them filled with cruel jokes at Tommy's expense. My stomach turned. I spent hours reporting the video, emailing platforms to take it down. But for every one removed, 3 more popped up. Then the harassment started. Messages calling me a Karen for not being able to take a joke. Others saying Tommy deserved it for being weird. One night, fueled by anger and exhaustion, I started digging into Derek's online presence. What I found shocked me. This wasn't a one-time thing. Derek had an entire channel dedicated to pranks, most of them cruel, aimed at unsuspecting victims. Many targeted people with disabilities or differences. I reached out to some of the victims, and their stories made my blood boil. A girl with a stutter whom Derek had tricked into giving a speech, only to edit the video to make her sound worse. A boy with ADHD whom Derek convinced to take fake focus pills that were actually laxatives. One mom, Sarah, whose son had been a victim, became my ally. We started compiling evidence, building a case against Derek. He's been doing this for years, Sarah told me during one of our late-night strategy calls. The school knows, but his parents always smooth it over. He's untouchable. But I was determined to touch the untouchable. Digging deeper, I discovered Derek's endgame. He wasn't just a bully, he was an aspiring influencer. His cruelty was calculated, designed to shock and go viral. He even had a press kit, pitching himself to brands as an edgy prankster. It made me sick, but it also gave me an idea. If Derek wanted to be famous, I'd make him famous, but not in the way he wanted. I started reaching out to every victim I could find, every parent whose child had been hurt. I contacted autism advocacy groups, anti-bullying organizations. I was building an army. One night, as I worked late into the evening, Tommy padded into my office. Mom, Are you still trying to make the bad video go away? I nodded, pulling him into a hug. Yeah, buddy, but I'm doing more than that. I'm going to make sure Derek can't hurt anyone else like he hurt you. Tommy was quiet for a moment and said, Good. I don't want any other kids to feel bad like I did. His words strengthened my resolve. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about protection. It was about justice. As Tommy went back to bed, I looked at my wall of evidence. Screenshots, testimonies, video clips, all painting a clear picture of who Derek really was. I picked up my phone, dialing Sarah's number. When she answered, I took a deep breath. I have a plan, but I'm going to need everyone's help. As I outlined my idea, a mix of anxiety and determination bubbled inside me. What I was about to do could backfire spectacularly, but if it worked, Derek would never hurt another person again. Maybe, just maybe, it would force my family and others like them to confront their own complicity in allowing this behavior to thrive. When I hung up, I looked at a picture of Tommy on my desk, my beautiful, kind, misunderstood boy. I touched the photo, making a silent promise. We're going to make this right, baby, no matter what it takes. The video dropped like a bomb. The real Derek. A history of cruelty spread faster than any of his pranks ever had. Testimonies from victims, clips of his worst jokes, and expert commentary on the harm of such behavior. It was all there. Within hours, Derek's follower count plummeted. Brands he'd been courting for sponsorships publicly distanced themselves. His dreams of internet fame were crumbling before his eyes. Then came the email from State University. In light of recent revelations, we are rescinding your acceptance. Aunt Karen, ever the enabler, went on a local news show to defend her misunderstood son. But in her attempt to paint Derek as the victim, she let slip. Of course I knew about the videos. Boys will be boys, and it was making him popular. The backlash was swift. Suddenly, it wasn't just about Derek anymore. The whole family was under scrutiny for allowing his behavior to continue unchecked. I used the momentum to launch Neurodiverse and Noticed, a campaign promoting understanding and protection for individuals like Tommy. The support was overwhelming. As for my family, most reached out with apologies, suddenly seeing the harm in their "it's just a joke" attitude. But it was too little, too late. Derek and Aunt Karen tried to apologize too, but I wasn't having it. You had years to do the right thing. You chose cruelty instead. We're done. Tommy and I found a new community, one that embraced him for who he was. Support groups, understanding friends, and a school that actually celebrated neurodiversity. One night, as I tucked Tommy in, he smiled up at me. Mom, I'm glad we're not going to any more mean family reunions. I kissed his forehead. Me too, buddy, me too. As I closed his door, I felt a weight lift. We'd been through hell, but we'd come out stronger. And more importantly, we'd made a difference, not just for ourselves, but for countless others who had been silenced for too long. The fight wasn't over. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like we were winning. That's the end of Astrid and Tommy's story. Now I've got a question for you. Was Astrid right to completely cut off her family, even those who apologized? Or should she have given them a second chance to make amends and learn from their mistakes? This is a tough one. On one hand, forgiveness can be healing. On the other, some actions might be unforgivable, especially when they hurt our kids. What would you have done in Astrid's shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hey there, I'm Ashley. I'm 35, a marketing executive, and the sole breadwinner for my family of 4. Lately, life's been a balancing act, but I'm holding it together. It's 6:00 a.m., and my alarm blares. I drag myself out of bed, careful not to wake Harry. He's still snoring and won't be up for hours. I tiptoe to the kitchen and start the coffee maker. The smell of caffeine is sometimes the only thing keeping me going. Mom, where's my science project? Emma's voice echoes from upstairs. Check the dining room table, sweetie. I call back, scrambling eggs for breakfast. Liam shuffles in, rubbing his eyes. I don't want to go to school today, he mutters. Come on, champ, you've got this. I ruffle his hair and slide a plate in front of him. The morning rush is always chaos. Packing lunches, signing permission slips, and trying to gulp down my own breakfast. Harry finally emerges. Babe, can you give me $20? Meeting the guys later. I hesitate. Harry, we're tight this month. Maybe skip it. He rolls his eyes. I never ask for anything. Don't be so controlling. I bite my tongue and hand over the cash, not wanting to argue. After dropping the kids at school, I race to the office. My boss, Michael, catches me in the elevator. Ashley, just the person I wanted to see. That proposal you worked on. The client loved it. Keep this up, and we might be talking about that corner office soon. I beam with pride. Thanks, Michael. I'm giving it my all. The day flies by in a blur of meetings and deadlines. By the time I leave, it's dark. I pick up the kids from my neighbor and head home, already planning dinner in my head. As I pull into the driveway, I see Sarah waiting on the porch, her face tight with worry. Ash, we need to talk, she says as soon as I step out of the car. I tell the kids to go inside and start their homework before turning to Sarah. What's up? She takes a deep breath. I saw Harry at the bar today with some woman. They looked cozy. My heart sinks, but I force a smile. Probably just a friend. You know Harry, always Mr. Social. Sarah grabs my hand. Ash, you can't keep making excuses. You're running yourself ragged while he does nothing. It's not fair. I pull away, defensive. He's just going through a rough patch. He'll find a job soon. Sarah looks like she wants to say more but shakes her head. Just take care of yourself, okay? I nod, watching her leave. Inside, Harry sprawled on the couch, beer in hand. Hey babe, what's for dinner? I'm starving. I swallow my frustration and head to the kitchen. Just another day in paradise, right? But as I chop vegetables, a nagging feeling grows inside me. Something's got to give, and soon. A few weeks later, I'm trudging through the mall, trying to find the perfect Christmas gifts for the kids. My phone buzzes, another text from Harry asking for money. I sigh and type a quick okay before shoving the phone back in my pocket. Back at work, I'm knee-deep in a presentation when Michael pops his head in. Ashley, you're not going to believe this. We landed the Peterson account. I jump up, nearly spilling my coffee. No way, that's amazing. All thanks to your pitch. You really knocked it out of the park. Keep this up, and that promotion's as good as yours. I'm riding high on the drive home, planning to surprise Harry with the news. But as I pull into the driveway, his car is still there. Weird, he usually meets his buddies on Thursdays. I unlock the door quietly, hearing Harry's voice from the living room. His tone is low, intimate. I miss you too, Lisa. Don't worry, I'll figure something out. We'll be together soon, I promise. My heart stops. Lisa. Who the hell is Lisa? I step into the room, and Harry's head snaps up, his face pale. Gotta go, he mumbles into the phone before hanging up. Who's Lisa? I ask, my voice trembling. His eyes narrow. Were you spying on me? Jesus, Ashley, can't I have any privacy? Don't turn this around on me. I heard you. Who is she? You're being paranoid. Lisa's just a friend. Maybe if you weren't so busy with work all the time, you'd know what's going on in my life. It feels like a slap. Are you kidding me? I'm working insane hours to support this family while you do nothing. Oh, here we go again, he sneers. Poor martyr Ashley, so overworked and underappreciated. You should be grateful I put up with your nagging. I'm speechless. How did this become my fault? He grabs his coat. I'm going out. Don't wait up. The door slams behind him, leaving me alone in the silence. I sink onto the couch, my mind spinning. What just happened? The next day, I meet Sarah for coffee. As soon as I sit down, the tears start flowing and I spill everything. Oh honey, you know this isn't right, don't you? He's manipulating you, Sarah says, her voice full of concern. I shake my head. But what about the kids? Christmas is coming. I can't ruin everything right now. Sarah's eyes flash with anger. And what about you, Ash? Don't you deserve better than this? I don't have an answer. Instead, I throw myself into Christmas preparations, pretending everything is fine. I bake cookies with Emma, help Liam write his letter to Santa, and try to ignore the gnawing pit in my stomach every time Harry's phone buzzes. Babe, I'm sorry about the other day. I've just been stressed, you know. Harry says one evening, how about we forget about it and have a great Christmas? I want to scream, to demand answers, but Emma and Liam are watching us with wide eyes. I can't shatter their world. Not yet. So I force a smile and nod. Sure, honey. Let's have a great Christmas. Christmas Eve comes, and I'm rushing through the crowded mall, grabbing last-minute stocking stuffers. My phone buzzes nonstop, Harry asking when I'll be home. He probably wants me to start on Christmas dinner. I pull into the driveway, arms full of bags, but something feels off. The lights are on, but the house feels empty. I fumble with my keys and push the door open. Harry? Kids? I'm home. Silence, then footsteps. Harry appears in the hallway, his face cold. Finally decided to show up, huh? I frown, setting the bags down. What are you talking about? Where are the kids? At your sister's. I needed to talk to you. Alone. My stomach drops. That's when I see them, my suitcases sitting in the living room. Harry, what's going on? He crosses his arms, his voice emotionless. I want you out, Ashley, tonight. I laugh nervously. Very funny. Come on, help me with these presents. I'm not joking. He cuts me off. I'm done pretending. You're never here. Always at work. The kids need a real parent, not someone who's married to their job. It feels like a punch to the gut. Are you insane? I work hard for this family while you sit around doing nothing. His eyes narrow. See, this is exactly why you need to go. Always criticizing, never appreciating what I do. Well, I found someone who does. Lisa understands me. The world tilts sideways. Lisa, the woman you were talking to on the phone. He nods, a cruel smile tugging at his lips. That's right, we met online. She's everything you're not: supportive, loving, present. Tears sting my eyes. You can't do this. It's Christmas Eve, for God's sake. Perfect time for a fresh start, he shrugs. New year, new life. Without you. I'm shaking now, anger and fear battling inside me. The kids. We'll be fine, he interrupts, his voice cold and calculated. In fact, I'll be filing for full custody. After all, what judge would give the kids to a workaholic mother with no family to help out? The low blow hits hard. He knows I'm an orphan. He knows how much that hurts. You bastard, I whisper. Face it, Ashley. You've got nowhere to go, no one to turn to. You're all alone, just like always. I'm sobbing now, pleading. Please, Harry, don't do this. We can work it out. But he's not listening. With one final push, I'm stumbling out onto the porch, my bags tumbling after me. The door slammed shut behind me. I stand there, numb with shock, staring at the closed door. The Christmas wreath mocks me with its cheerful ribbons. Inside, I hear Harry on the phone. Hey babe, it's done. Come on over. Reality crashes down. This is really happening. I'm homeless on Christmas Eve. With shaking hands, I pull out my phone and dial Sarah's number. Ash, what's wrong? Her voice is thick with sleep. He kicked me out. I choke out, my voice barely above a whisper. Harry, he's leaving me for someone else. That son of a... Sarah cuts herself off. I'm coming to get you right now. Don't move. I nod, forgetting she can't see me, and sink down onto my suitcase. The night is cold, but I barely feel it. Headlights appear down the street, and for a moment, I think it's Sarah. But then I see her. A blonde woman, practically bouncing as she walks up Harry's, driveway. She knocks on the door, and it opens immediately. Harry pulls her into a kiss. Lisa, it has to be. I turn away, unable to watch. Moments later, Sarah's car pulls up. Moments later, Sarah leaps out of her car and pulls me into a tight hug. Oh honey, I'm so sorry. Come on, let's get you out of here. As we drive away, I catch one last glimpse of the house in the rearview mirror. The Christmas lights twinkle merrily, oblivious to the fact that my entire world has just shattered. What am I going to do? I whisper. We'll figure it out together. You're not alone, Ash. I promise. But as the house disappears from view, I can't help but feel like I've lost everything. Merry Christmas to me, right? The first few weeks after Christmas are a blur. I crash on Sarah's couch, throwing myself into work to avoid thinking about it all. Michael notices my renewed drive. Ashley, your performance lately has been exceptional. I think it's time we talked about that promotion. I blink, surprised. Really? Even after? He smiles warmly. Your personal life doesn't define your professional worth. The job's yours if you want it. With shaking hands, I sign the contract. The pay raise will help with the divorce costs. Speaking of which, I meet Linda, my new lawyer, later that day. She's a force of nature in a power suit. So he kicked you out on Christmas Eve. What a charmer, she scoffs, flipping through my case file. Don't worry, We'll nail him to the wall. And nail him we do. Linda uncovers years of financial records showing Harry's complete dependence on me. But the real bombshell drops a month into the proceedings. You're not going to believe this, Linda says, striding into her office where I'm waiting. Your husband's girlfriend? She cleared out his bank accounts and disappeared. Turns out she's wanted in 3 states for running similar scams. I can't help but laugh. The divorce hearing is brutal. Harry shows up looking disheveled, begging the judge for leniency. But as the evidence of his infidelity, financial irresponsibility, and emotional manipulation mounts, I see the judge's expression harden. In light of the evidence presented, I'm granting full custody to Mrs. Walker. Mr. Walker will pay child support as outlined in the agreement. Harry's face crumples. But where am I supposed to go? What about the house? The judge's voice is ice cold. Perhaps you should have considered that before your actions, Mr. Walker. As we leave the courthouse, a weight lifts off my shoulders. Emma and Liam run to hug me, and for the first time in months, I feel hope. How's it feel to be free? Sarah asks. I grin. Honestly, amazing. Oh, guess what? I started a support group at work for women going through similar situations. You should see how many people showed up. Sarah beams. Look at you, turning pain into purpose. I'm so proud of you, Ash. Just then, my phone buzzes. Harry's name flashes on the screen. I hesitate for a moment, then decline the call. Everything okay? Sarah asks. I nod, smiling. Yeah, actually, everything's great. Later that night, as I tuck the kids into bed, Liam asks, Mom, are you happy now? I pause, really thinking about it. You know what, sweetie? I really am. Emma pipes up. We are too. It's nice seeing you smile again. I hug them both tightly, feeling tears prick at my eyes. But for once, they're happy tears. As I settle onto the couch, my phone buzzes again. Another call from Harry. This time, I block the number without hesitation. Looking around at my new home, filled with warmth and love, I realize something. This isn't an ending. It's a beginning. And for the first time in years, I'm excited to see what the future holds. That's my story. Now, I have a question for all of you. If you were in my shoes, would you have given Harry a second chance after discovering his secretive behavior? Or would you have confronted him immediately? Where do you draw the line between being supportive and being taken advantage of in a relationship? Share your thoughts in the comments below.